So I just want to start this video by saying yes, I am sick. If you're wondering why my voice sounds like this, it's the reason why I haven't been able to do as much content as I was hoping to do. I was expecting to stream a lot more and just upload a lot more videos, but honestly, I've been sleeping 90% of the day, so that's just how it's been. But I have still gotten a decent amount of time to play Black Ops Cold War. Haven't gotten around to doing the Easter egg for the machine yet. I'm going to probably stream it either later today or tomorrow. My first time doing it. I have not seen what the ending's like. I know there's no cutscene. We'll talk about that, later. I have to actually play the Easter egg myself until I can make a decent opinion on it. But today I just want to talk about the zombies mode overall, because I gave a first impressions review about a game or two after my first couple games, and I made a video also before I even played it, just based off of the leaked early gameplay that we saw. And I made that video, which did pretty well in the end. The video was really popular for a little bit, and I was talking about how I didn't like the direction that they seem to be going with the zombies this year in terms of how similar it was to Warzone and multiplayer, with a lot of different mechanics and elements, and the overall look of it did not look like it would play anything like prior zombies. But I was just, voicing my skepticism and concerns. I wasn't saying stuff like it's going to suck or anything like that, and a lot of people got the wrong idea in the comment section because they were coming in like now, a couple days after the game came out, and they're telling me, oh, you were so wrong or whatever, and it's like, was I really wrong? I was never saying the game was going to suck. I was never saying it was going to be a massive issue for the gameplay. It could still be really, really fun, but I'm worried, and I'm kind of concerned about what I see here because I'm not loving that direction. And I still have some issues with some of the directions they went with, but not nearly as bad as I originally was saying. I think, honestly, a lot of the mechanics within Black Ops Cold War Zombies are fantastic. Some of the best mechanics we've ever seen in zombies history. And I'm likely going to do a video talking about the top 5 best and top 5 worst things about the zombies mode here, because I'll be honest, like I said, the mechanics themselves I'm really enjoying. Now the map itself, I'll do a full review on it after I do the Easter egg and after we get at least a week or two to see if there's any more side Easter eggs and stuff. I'll do a review on that. I think my first impressions on the map is I'm not entirely, overly impressed or anything like that. I think it'll definitely be a decent map, but I don't even think it'll be a top 10 map material. I don't see it being there. Hopefully the other maps we get later on can possibly get to that position, because I think some of the mechanics here are really strong and can definitely make for a fantastic zombies map. But there are some issues I have with this map, and we'll obviously talk about that in that review video. I don't want to talk about today, because all I want to talk about today is honestly just the mode itself and the mechanics, especially like the Warzone-esque mechanics, like the rarity system, the armor system, and all these things that we were generally kind of worried about before launch. And now, like I said, I think I was kind of wrong about some of my skepticism and some of my criticism, because a lot of it ended up turning out to be really enjoyable. One thing in particular is the minimap. I originally said I didn't like the minimap. Now, I didn't say I hated it. I didn't say it was going to be game breaking and it was going to completely ruin the fun of zombies. No, of course not. It's just a minimap, right? And we all thought you could turn it off, so we were all like, oh, it's not going to be a big deal, but you actually can't turn it off. But there's really no need to turn it off, because it really doesn't pose any negative contributions to the zombies mode itself. The only issue I have with it is that, yes, it does take up a decent amount of space on the HUD, and it made it so you move the round counter to the right side. I'd prefer the round counter be somewhere else, just for the sake of content creation. When I have my webcam, I don't like having to move the webcam around, so I think the top right should always just have nothing there. So I would prefer it was somewhere else, but the minimap doesn't really take that away. They could have put it somewhere else. I'm sure they could have fit it like right below maybe the points where it shows your points and your player gamer tag. They could have moved that up a little bit and then put the round counter down there. It could have fit easily. I don't know why they didn't try that, but it is what it is. It's not a massive deal. But the minimap itself is actually pretty awesome, not just for casual players, but even just myself, because it made the mode a lot easier to learn a lot quicker. Like getting stuff like Pack-a-Punch and the power, and learning where the perks are and where the boxes, where wall weapons are, where the ammo crates are. Like a lot of this stuff would take a while to kind of learn and get down where it is, but the minimap just shows it right then and there. And stuff like where the portal is, where you need to find that, the reward stuff, where your objective is if you're doing the challenges, which the challenge trials are awesome. We'll talk about that in the review for the map itself. And just knowing where all these things are because it's showing you on the mini map is so insanely useful, and I'm actually a big fan of it. And I think a mini map is probably going to be a staple in zombies going forward. I really think it's a fine addition. I have no massive issue with it. Another thing I really like is the weapon rarity system, because it's making every single weapon in the game useful. There's not one gun in this game that is completely worthless, at least so far, because if you get the legendary version of it, like the rarest possible version, they are all pretty insane for all guns, you know what I mean? So I'm a big fan of that. I'm not even against starting with assault rifle, because the assault rifle you start with is always going to be uncommon, so it's always going to suck after like usually like round 8 is when it starts pooping out. You need to get a better gun. So the box is actually useful. There's just so many items you can get from the box now because of this rarity system, and I love how your weapons drop just like in Warzone, because now when you're hitting the box, you might as well pick up everything out of the box. There's no reason not to, because your guns will just drop on the floor and you can just wait to pick it up and then, you know, grab it. I actually really like that. Now, what I don't like about that is that when you have a bunch of weapons that drop around the mystery box, it then becomes kind of difficult to hit the mystery box. You'll start accidentally picking up other guns and stuff. So I think what they should do is make it so it drops like maybe a couple feet behind you or something when you're hitting the mystery box, because it's just annoying when it's right in front of the mystery box. Or prioritize the mystery box over any other items around the area like a lot more, because there's been way too many times where I've been trying to hit the mystery box while I'm being like chased by a bunch of zombies and I just start accidentally picking up guns and stuff, and it gets really frustrating. I would say the only things that I still really don't like about the mechanics of the Cold War zombies so far, stuff that's probably going to go for each and every version of the mode, and this is massive problems, right? There's obviously some minor things, like I think the drop rate for the salvage and stuff is a little too slow, so it makes it really hard to get. Well, it drops a lot of stuff, but it's just so expensive when you need to get armor and stuff like that, and I feel like you just can't get enough armor. It's the blue salvage, not the green one. The green ones drop more than enough, at least I believe, but the blue one takes a long time to get, so it's really hard. It takes a long time to get your upgraded weapons as well as armor upgrades and stuff, and it's just way too long. So they got to increase that, or just lower the prices of it or something. They can do a number of things, I'm sure, to make that fix, but that's a small issue. In terms of big issues, I would say the biggest problem I have right now is the point system, and I get why they did this, because now that they have the weapon rarities, every gun is useful, so they didn't want like weapons like shotguns or snipers to be kind of useless, because they kind of would be. But now that you're getting the same amount of points for those as you do with like an AR or an SMG, there's no reason not to use a shotgun. So like the Spaz 12 is like the best gun in the game right now, because not only is it really solid, but the fact that it's a shotgun is not going to lose you any points. You're still going to get the same amount of points as you would with an AR, which was a big issue with the Black Ops 4 perk system, because there were a lot of crappy guns in the game. There were a lot of just terrible weapons, so there was no reason to ever use an SMG or an assault rifle. But in this game, because of the rarity system, a lot of the SMGs are still really good to use, but they're not like equal, you know. The guns aren't 100% balanced. You're still going to prefer a Spaz 12 over an AK-74U just based on how powerful it is, even if you have both of them fully upgraded to the best possible abilities that they could be. So that is kind of a system I'm not a big fan of, the point system. Also, it just makes it really hard to get a lot of points in high rounds, because you have to actually kill the zombies to get points, rather than just shooting up into the horde and that being your way of getting points, because you don't have to actually kill the zombies. In previous zombies games like BO3, BO2, BO1, you just shoot up into the horde and you're going to get a ton of points. You don't have to actually kill them, so high rounds is not too impossible to get points, which, yes, this does make it a little bit more difficult, and I guess maybe they want to make it that way. They don't want it to be too easy. But there's also a lot of mechanics in this game that make it incredibly easy in other ways. So the game itself the difficulty is interesting. Sometimes it's really easy, sometimes it's really hard. It really just depends on what you're doing. Like the bosses are really hard, they're really tricky, but there's a lot of things like the ray gun, some of the wonder weapons, not all of them, the different variant upgrades, some of them are really good, some of them not so much, and some of the weapons that are really powerful, some abilities and stuff that are really powerful, but they really go hard with the amount of zombies and the amount of bosses to make it more difficult, which I actually kind of like how the difficulty kind of works in that way. The early rounds are really easy, like you're not going to die in early rounds, but later rounds it starts to get a little tricky, and to the point where, yeah, it's a little troublesome. And the last issue I think I'm going to state off right off the bat that I have, just this is first impressions, of course, so this isn't anything that, you know, is going to be the same probably in a few weeks. I'm sure they're gonna make updates to the game. We're gonna have new modes probably added at some point, so we'll talk about that as time goes on. But the last issue I have with it currently is actually the perk upgrade system, and overall just the upgrade system itself. I would much prefer if the upgrade systems for perks were just in-game. So you start with, you know, no upgrades on your perk, and then there's some sort of a challenge you do or something you do to upgrade each and every one of the perks throughout a singular game. Don't make it too hard, but let you go from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 in a singular game, just like you do with the armor upgrades, how you go from tier 1 armor to tier 2 to tier 3. Same way. I think that would make overall just giving you more things to do within the game a lot more fun. There's just more stuff to do when you have the ability to go through and upgrade your perks. And the reason why I don't like it being in the menus the way it is because it's way too quick to get them done, and I'm gonna just not have any perks to upgrade after getting them done. I've only played like 8 hours of zombies so far, which is a decent amount, but it's been, what, 2 days since, actually 1 day since launch, really? Not even that long, well, 2 days since I played it, and I already have 3 perks fully upgraded. Speed Cola, Juggernaut, and Quick Revive, I have them fully upgraded, so that's half of the perks fully upgraded. I only have 3 more perks to go. I'm probably gonna have those done within like a couple days. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, because now the perk upgrade system is kind of worthless. Every perk is just the same now. That completely takes away the excitement I had for perk upgrades, because they're just always going to be there. The upgrades that I had are now always going to obtain to those perks, unless obviously I get a new account or whatever, or my progress gets reset. Or if new perks come out, obviously, then you can start upgrading those. But it's just so easy and fast to do it, which I'm not against. I don't think it should be that hard, but it honestly just should be a thing in the game itself. You know what I mean? I feel like that would just overall work a lot better. But regardless, it is what it is. And the last thing I want to say, I do feel like there's a lack of content in zombies, which this is not, I don't know if this is specific to the map itself, and we'll talk about obviously the map in another video, but we don't really know exactly, because there could be more side quests to do. I have no idea. I haven't seen everything there is to see on the map. I haven't done the Easter egg yet, and like I said, they haven't solved everything. Like I said, there could be more side quests, but from an outsider's perspective, just looking at the mode itself, only having D Machine, Dead Ups Arcade, and for PlayStation players, that Onslaught mode, I'm an Xbox player, so that mode doesn't really even count for me. It's a little upsetting, because you compare it to BO4, right? Or even Black Ops 3. We'll talk about Black Ops 3 in a second, right? BO4 had so much at launch. Now, whether or not you like the content itself is besides the point. I'm just talking about the amount of content itself. We had 4 fully fledged maps. They were 3 fully fledged maps. One classified was like, you know, it didn't have too much to it, but it was definitely still a well-developed map for sure. Then you had custom mutations. You had rush mode on each and every one of those maps as well. Custom mutations was huge, so many different options. And then obviously you had all the progression systems that it had. You had like 14 perks, which was insane, right? And you had like 8 specialist weapons. You had a lot of stuff to mess with in BO4 Zombies at launch. Whether or not you liked it, it doesn't matter. You can't deny the fact that it had a lot of stuff to it. Now, BO3 only had Shadows of Evil and the Giant, and of course Dead Ups Arcade 2 at launch, which this game I would say probably has more than that, because of the fact that they have, you know, the Onslaught mode and stuff. But other than that, there's really nothing else to do. And like I said, for DLC, they're probably gonna just jam-pack us with DLC. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot when it's all said and done, but currently speaking, I feel like we're missing out on some stuff, and I don't know if this map is gonna last that long. I just don't know. Like, I really don't think we'll be still playing this map consistently like a couple weeks from now. So if this next map, which presumably is going to be this Vietnam map that was supposed to come out launch, if it doesn't come out by like January at least, this game's going to be in trouble for zombies, at least, in my opinion. They did say for Season 1 there's going to be new zombies modes. Now, I don't know what they mean by that. It could be grief mode, it could be rush, it could be a number of things. But they just say new zombies modes. They don't say maps. So I don't think we're even going to get a new map for the December update, which would be really unfortunate. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Like I said, it is a bit early to judge. That's why this is just first impressions videos, really. But just based off of the zombies mechanics itself, I was partially wrong about it, I'll be honest. I don't think the mechanics are that terrible, and the direction's not that terrible either. But there definitely are things that I think either need to be changed or are just, in general, not good features overall. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.